Bob had tried to raise his daughter right after the divorce some 6 years ago. He had found out that his wife cheated on him, and needless to say, with all the evidence against her, she was left out in the cold without much money to survive on. Everyone agreed that she deserved it after what she did to this generous man who kept her in luxury since rising to near the top of his company. She got none of his money or assets and was put up in an apartment across town. It was not in a very good neighborhood, but it was what she deserved. Bob was not exactly sure how his daughter took the news when he told her. He was determined to teach her to respect her husband when it came time. Since his former wife could barely take care of herself, his daughter remained with him most of the time, visiting her mother only a couple times a month. Last year, Bob's daughter, Sandy, accompanied him to a Christmas party with him. Sandy looked great, all decked out for the party, in a simple black dress that showed off her figure very pleasantly. Every guy in the place took a second glance as she walked past, a lot taking the time to admire her appearance as she passed. The slit along one side of the dress also exposed quite a bit of her legs, sometimes with the tops of her stockings showing. The front of the dress was cut really low, making it impossible to wear a bra, which was no problem for her well-developed physique, which moved slightly as she walked. It was at this party where John, an up-and-coming engineer, met and started to date. That was just over a year ago. Bob respected John, so he felt proud that he had taken an interest in his daughter. The relationship between Sandy and John had progressed to the point where he asked her for her hand in marriage, to which she readily said yes. The wedding was still 1 month away when John called Bob and said that he had something important to discuss with him. During the meeting, John told Bob that he felt like Sandy was cheating on him, but was not sure yet. Just little things he was noticing, John said. John went on to say that he had already hired a private detective to follow her for the week. John continued to say he hoped he was wrong, but he had to find out for sure, and he wanted to make sure that Bob knew what was going on. Their meeting ended with Bob thanking John for being upfront with him and said that he also hoped he was wrong but did not blame him for doing what he was doing. Bob even offered to pay for 1/2 of the cost if he wanted. John turned down the offer but was glad that Bob had taken this well. At the end of the week, John called Bob to have him come along when he met with the detective. The detective did not reveal any results to John before they saw him, so the news was new to both of them. What they saw surprised the both of them. It was sorta a surprise to find that she was cheating, but with who was the bigger surprise? It seems that another junior partner had seduced Sandy, one that was in direct competition with John for a promotion. The bigger problem was that this man was also married. After what had happened to Bob, he knew just how John felt. He also vehemently opposed to anyone cheating. Bob took John out to dinner after the meeting, where a plan started to form. Everything proceeded as planned for the wedding, but John and Bob made sure to cancel all of the reception plans. Sandy was never aware of anything going bad, but she soon was to find out. Since Bill's wife, the cheating junior partner, was also cheated on, Bob and John let her in on the plan. Bob even paid for the divorce lawyer for her. All was set for the revenge, and how sweet it was going to be. It seems that over the past week, John was coming up with ideas for work projects that somehow Bill had gotten a hold of before he could turn them in. This, in effect, had Bill lined up for a big bonus for his ha-ha ideas. Bob knew about what was going on, so he had the bonus delayed before Bill could collect, giving some excuse about the financial department problems. The day of the wedding arrived with Bob's backyard set up with chairs for all the guests. What was a little different was the presence of a 52-inch TV placed on the altar, which intrigued most of the guests. The hired minister, he had let the real one go so he was not there for this display, stood in front of the gathered crowd. The music played and Bob led his unknowing daughter to the altar. When they got there, the minister announced that before they started, Bob had something to say. As you all know, John has asked for my daughter's hand in marriage. But unfortunately, this will not be happening today, and I believe that Sandy and Bill know the reason why. I am here to let you all know the real reason. With that, he started the video. On the screen, you could see Bill and Sandy outside of the motel room, his arm touching her inappropriately. They proceeded inside, hugging each other as they went. The next thing that shows is the loving couple talking while removing their clothes. "So did you get the bonus yet? I heard that you somehow arrived with the idea before John did," she said with a laugh. "Well, I should be getting it soon," or so he thought. "But there is some hold-up in the financial department so far," Bill continued with a laugh in his voice. "If only John knew, he would destroy me for giving up his hard work," she said with a snicker. Humiliated and mad, Sandy yelled at her father, "We are not married yet, Dad, so I was not cheating on him." She turned off the video, and only her voice could be heard. "You have already promised yourself to John, and he should be able to trust you. Besides, is not Bill married?" Bob asked. The distinct sound of a slap could be heard from within the guests. "Well, Bill, you are married, are you not?" "Well, you were married," Bill's wife said when she handed Bill the divorce papers. "Do not bother coming home. You will find where your belongings are being put right now. I also paid for 2 nights at the motel you cheated on me at, so you can think about what you did." As she finished saying that, the crowd erupted into cheers. "Get him, girl! Take him to the cleaners! He deserves it!" "I thought I taught you better than that, Sandy, especially when you know what happened between your mother and me. Now you have broken up someone else's marriage and you also made him lose his job." With that, he turned to Bill. "Bill, you can see security in the morning so you can remove your stuff. You have been fired for taking credit for someone else's work." Turning back to Sandy, "A taxi is waiting to take you to your mother's now. You two deserve each other. I do not want you to visit me ever again." Bill and Sandy left humiliated and defeated, though the applauding crowd. "Now with that done, it is time to get this party started. Now it is time to celebrate John's new promotion," Bob said, surprising John. John shook his hand and said, "Thank you very much. I will make sure I make you proud." The party continued for the rest of the afternoon, where John found that Bill's ex-wife had quite a bit in common with him. The two of them did eventually marry and were very happy with each other. That was the last time Bob talked to his daughter or wife, which was fine with him. 10 years had passed since that fateful wedding day. Bob had long since moved on with his life, finding solace in his work and the few true friends who understood his principles. The story of that dramatic day had become something of a legend in professional circles, a cautionary tale about integrity and consequences. John had indeed lived up to Bob's expectations. He had risen through the ranks of his company, becoming a senior executive known for his unwavering ethical standards. The promotion Bob had engineered that day was just the beginning of a remarkable career. He had married Bill's ex-wife, Sarah, and they had built a life together based on mutual respect and trust, the very things Sandy and Bill had so carelessly destroyed. As for Sandy and Bill, their relationship had predictably fallen apart. Without the excitement of their initial deceit, they found themselves trapped in a miserable existence. Bill, fired from his previous job, struggled to find steady employment. His reputation preceded him, and no respectable firm wanted a known plagiarist. Sandy, cut off from her father's support and resources, found herself living in progressively worse circumstances, eventually ending up in the same struggling neighborhood where her mother had been relegated years before. Bob occasionally heard snippets of information through mutual acquaintances. He never sought out the information, but in a small professional community, news had a way of traveling. He felt no satisfaction, only a profound sense of disappointment. He had tried to raise his daughter with strong moral principles, to teach her the importance of loyalty and honesty. Her failure was a reflection of something deeper, a fundamental character flaw that no amount of parental guidance could correct. On the 10th anniversary of that remarkable day, Bob received a small package. Inside was a photograph of John and Sarah, along with their 2 children. A simple note accompanied the picture. "Thank you for everything. Some people create their own family." Bob smiled, placing the photograph on his desk. He had no regrets about the path he had chosen. Integrity, he believed, was worth more than any familial connection built on lies and betrayal. The world continued to turn, indifferent to the personal dramas that had once seemed so earth-shattering. Bob had learned that justice often comes not from grand gestures, but from the quiet, consistent choice to do what is right. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.